less. So what happens is they are reusing it. So is
Yes.
it good or not?
Okay. It will take some time to explain that question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have that much time here?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Sir,
Okay.
excuse me, sir. Excuse me. So here are actually principal sir is there. Bhagat sir,
Hello, sir.
maybe you can
Hello.
actually have a personal chat with him later. So here I
Yes,
would
sir.
like to
Thank you, sir. Thank
here
you, sir.
I would like to welcome our principal sir, Dr. Dinkar Gevde. So he's actually one of the he has his PhD as well as management degree, and he's actually one of the aspiring person. I've seen I was in Montreal and McGill, and then there was Dr. Adam Chuck. So since I've been here in PVPIT is Dr. Gevde, so he's very aspiring, and I'm doing a lot of things because of him. So here actually, Principal Sir, I would like to introduce you to my friend Prasant Prusty. And he's actually going to be our speaker for today. And if you want to have a chat, and then maybe we can start the session. Like I'm already doing it YouTube live, and I'll probably give the platform to Miss Neha Madam.
Yeah. Hello, Prashant. Welcome.
Hello.
This
Thank
is,
you, and nice to meet you, sir.
yeah, whatever Mr. Dr. Nandakishore told you, it is not. It is
Yes.
his initiative that we are organizing such kinds of webinars. We are, and our management, Honorable Amit Dada, who is trustee of our institute, and our chairman, Sri Vishal Dada Patil, they are supporting us to organize such kinds of events. And Dr. Nandakishore and his team, they are really working very well through wholeheartedly and trying to connect you people around the globe. And they're giving a unique opportunity for all of us. So it is his efforts that has led to such kinds of performance of our institute. And
Well,
the team is working well. So I welcome you for this webinar.
thank you, and thank you for giving me the chance to talk to you or talk to the students here. And let me tell you something that what you guys are doing is really awesome. I wish when I was doing my bachelor degree, I had a session like this where I could speak to prospective, what you call successful person in the industry to get some direction which way to go forward.
Yeah,
And it's really I think the technology and the initiative and the networking you guys have and making this happen for the students, I am pretty sure this is be very helpful for the students to
definitely.
choose their career path.
Yeah. So that was the one of the motive that let the students know what is happening around and how,
Exactly. And
how the,
and I always believe that every student is unique. We just
yeah,
have to find a way how to culture their brain so
right.
that the best out of their brain comes out.
Yeah, right. That is what it's a very difficult task. There should be one-to-one interaction with the students,
That's
and
right.
the faculty also should take that much interest to try to understand the students who are learning in their
Yes.
classes, and then they have to groom those students. So that is how
That
we are
that's
trying to develop this culture.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I would like to bring up today in my discussion. When Nandu approached me, I said, Nandu, I'm not here to go and have a monologue here. I want to have a dialogue
Yeah,
because unless I engage the audience, people may not find what I'm speaking interesting.
yeah,
And I'm not here to just come and blah blah something, and then I realize that there's nothing coming out of the discussion.
right.
So that's the first thing. And the second thing, what I would like to focus today, we study what you call E equal to MC square, all those what you call physics, chemistry, mathematics, or the engineering aspect of it. But how much of that we take and use in the industry? And being an
Right.
entrepreneur, I can tell you that I really don't see that the knowledge we gain out of the school are 100% utilized. And I
Yeah,
would like to focus a lot today because I run two companies and two startups, right? It's mostly technology based startups.
yeah,
And I'll be talking a lot about how what you guys are learning about IoT what you guys are learning about the machine learning, how can we have a practical application and get something out of the knowledge? It's not just about passing the exam, but
Yeah.
using that knowledge and getting the best out of the knowledge in creating something
Yeah.
which will be helping the mankind.
Yeah. Right. So that should happen in our institutions, and
Yes.
that is how we are planning.
Yes, and
Taking,
actually, what we could do maybe after this, we could develop possible collaboration
yeah,
because I am working into IoT, I am working into blockchain as a practical applications, right? I was in New Delhi 2 months back. We were talking about how to integrate the farmers into a blockchain platform. It might sound very promising. It might sound very ambitious project, but that's the future.
yeah.
We may not be there today, but if we plan today, in 5 years or 10 years, we can get there.
Yeah. So it's a process. Now we have to enter in that process and then see through
Yes,
that process rightly,
yes,
so that we can achieve some goals, as you
exactly,
mentioned right now,
exactly.
and that is very important.
Yes,
And everybody has to work in that line.
that's right.
Not the task of one or two faculty members, but all faculty members should work in that line so that we can reach the task at earliest. Otherwise, it will take again a long period.
That's correct.
One or two people
And
working. Yeah.
and what I strongly believe, this industry collaboration, what you guys are trying to do today, if you can do more industry collaboration,
Yeah. Yeah.
where you bring the practical situation to the campus. So
Yeah.
what people are learning, they're not just learning for the sake of a project. They're learning because they're creating a product.
Yeah. We are trying to penetrate industry. We are conducting continuous meetings with industry people. We are calling different industry people at our institute and getting their points of views in development of our institute. And that has
Nice,
resulted in some good projects to the students. So students are
nice,
now working in on real life projects in industries. That is again a
nice,
good change that has happened in our institute. So because we're getting connected to the industries coming forward with some new projects, and our alumni are also coming ahead to give good projects to the students. So that way we
nice.
are now moving, I think, in the right direction. And we
Great.
have developed our Institute Innovation Council, R&D cell, again, which is headed by Dr. Nandakumar, Nandkishore, and other team members are there. So, and many students are now, they have developed interest and they have become enthusiastic to participate in competitions organized by industries as well as the government departments. So that has given some kind of, you can say, momentum in our institute among the students, and they are coming ahead. They are coming forward to take part in such kinds of institutions. They are getting some good results also.
Nice.
So many of our
Nice.
students have,
Happy to see that initiative.
yeah,
Yes, may I say something, sir?
yes,
Yes. So as you were mentioning about the industry, so we have actually right now we are collaborating with, like, especially from my R&D side. So I'm actually collaborating with three industries. One is called Magnavin Electrical Limited. Another one is actually Exchange Data Technologies Private Technologies Limited, and the third one is actually called as Mass Engineers. So these actually, like, industries, what we are doing is we are they want to work on something related to innovation, and they are actually outsourcing that work, but it is actually purely on volunteer basis. Means there is no exchange of money, there is only exchange of knowledge and thoughts. And our many of our students are going to that industry, they are actually understanding the problem, and then they're actually looking at the solution, they are actually designing the solutions, and then they're actually writing the proposals to actually get the funds to actually solve that problem from the industry itself. So that's actually where we have been doing like three right now, and one is actually been very successful, like especially the one with Magnavin Limited. And another one I wanted to mention is, like, recently, Prashant, our institute was successful in actually getting like around 6 patents. So just in the span of less than like 7 months, we got like around 7 patents which are actually in the design form. So the design patents. And we are also like applying for utility patents. And our institute is also involved in many activities in which I am not involved, but many other faculties are involved. And our institute students are really like liking the practical approach, then like the in class like lecture approach, and they like to actually work on it. And we have been in many national level actually competitions, like there is actually especially the mechanical department who are actually doing very good. And we also have like around at least 1,000 students who are actually working on the innovation front. So there is actually an incubation center in Pune called BHAO Institute. There we have like around 400 students. Then we have Smart India Hackathon, which is an initiative of India's National Mission on Innovation. There we have like around 200 students. Then in the the industries we have like around 40 students, and then many other students are doing like something on like go-kart, like making electrical vehicles, making something onion harvesters, making and testing actually like something efficient bikes or motorbikes or like electrical bikes, and many other things. Actually, I would say at least 1,000 students right now, they are involved in our institute and something related to innovation. And probably I just wanted to mention that, and especially my R&D cell team, our principal is again the head of it, like the R&D cell team. And we definitely like we want to do some work with industry, like from more like innovation, publication, and something solving the practical solutions. And this basically this session, I wanted to actually arrange this kind of a session because I wanted our students to get more like aware, and they should understand like the world is not small, but the world is also not too big, because we can be actually connected to each other just with a click of the mouse with the internet. And in India especially, because we have Geo, so with the Geo connectivity, like everyone can actually have access to internet with their smartphones, and they can actually know what is actually going around the world, and they can actually try to adapt that. So that's what I have a feeling like I don't see much difference between Montreal and actually like McGill. And then probably I'm from Madhanagar, and I think what I was able to do at McGill, Montreal, I can do it in Madhanagar, like my place, and also the college, which is BUDHGAON. So it could be like it could be very possible. We have the good quality students, we have the infrastructure, we have good internet connectivity, like we can actually see it right now. Sometimes we have some power failures, like certain failures, but that is not a big issue, because we have like backups with generators, or we have backups with inverters and those kind of things. So many things I see actually are possible here, just by sitting here in India, in like the small town, comparatively like with McGill and with Montreal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So sir, actually, principal sir, I wanted to ask you, like was there anyone who was supposed to be coming from Batu?
Yeah. Devsarkar sir was going to join. I'll just check.
Okay. So maybe I can actually give the dice to Sneha, because she was actually having some plans of actually doing this session very formal. Is actually our trustee going to be joining as well, because I haven't seen him actually joining the session?
But Karan sir,
हाँ सर, कॉल केलेला आहे, ते रिसीव्ह होत नाही कॉल.
होय. Okay. We'll start. Let's now, madam, starts the session.
Can someone actually, are the moderators actually looking at the YouTube, and actually our students have they really joined the YouTube link? Sagar sir and Magdum sir, are you monitoring the YouTube link?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Sir, there are 26 students or 26 viewers on the YouTube now.
अनम्यूट केला नहीं है, माइक अनम्यूट केला नहीं है, त्यामुळे बोलता आवाज येत नाही.
Show me.
Yes, okay.
Shall we start then? Okay, everything is fine now. Okay. So we are actually starting with our session. First of all, good evening to everyone. I would like to welcome you all.
स्नेहा मॅडम, तुमचा माईक म्यूट झालाय. स्नेहा मॅडम.
Is it?
हाँ,
Now it is done. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Good evening, all. I'm a Miss Neha Patil, Assistant Professor, Pvpit BUDHGAON. I would like to welcome you all in this student development program on future trends and the career opportunities in Industry 4.0 in India and abroad. I welcome you all on behalf of Padma Bhushan Vasantrao Dada Patil Institute of Technology BUDHGAON and from the Instrumentation Department. PUPIT Institute is one of the leading institute providing the high quality technical and engineering education. It is one of the pioneer institute in a western region of India, established in 1983, and it is run by the VPSSM Sangli. I hope you all can see and hear me properly. Okay. In this 1 week webinar series, we have an industrial and educational renowned expert across the globe with us. It is really a great opportunity to listen these experts from the North Korea, North America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. Let me give a brief of this webinar series first. In this series, we have 6 webinar sessions focusing on the different career opportunities and the trends. For this, as I said, we have a global team of the experts which focus on the different areas which are really needed as a considering the global pandemic of the COVID-19. We have a Dr. Dhananjay Dokne, PhD from McGill University, Montreal, Canada. He's a research scientist and he will focus on the PCR instruments. We will interact with him on 10th of June. In the next session, also we have the another expert with us, Dr. Ahmad Masood Senzai, who will guide us on the smart farming with the drones and the instruments on the 8th of June. On the 5th of June, Mr. Subendu Sinha from the Netherlands interact with us related to the embedded systems and the IoT and careers in abroad. We have another expert from the Concordia University of Canada, Mr. Aristo Mohit Kukar, who is a startup specialist, and he will guide us related to the startups, fundings, incubations, and entrepreneurship. It will be on the 4th of June. I would like to proudly mention that we have one of our alumni as an expert in this series, Mr. Raktim Bhandari. He is an expert in the business management and he is from the Melbourne, Australia. He will share his journey before and after PVPIT, and he will be with us tomorrow. None other than today, to inaugurate this series, we have a great eminent personality with us, that is Mr. Prasant Prusty as a speaker. Prasant Prusty sir has a wealth of expertise in managing, improving critically evaluating the food safety. Sir holds the masters in a food science from McGill University. Sir has in the thesis program, he did the research and focused on the developed food safety interventions technology in a fresh produce. He worked in the Mars, Crafts, Nature's, touched frozen foods at various leadership roles in a design and a develop and implementation of various food safety programs within a global food supply chain. Mr. Prusty sir has experienced the current food safety challenges within a small and a medium scale industries due to the consumer awareness through the digitalization and social media through his experiences by working with the food suppliers across the world. In order to develop a food safety solutions for a small and a medium scale industries, he founded two safety companies in 2018, Smart Food Safe Solutions and the Pathogenia. Smart Food Safe develops food safety, quality, and regularity compliance solutions designed for a global small and a medium scale food processing industry in form of smart software solutions by using a domain specific functional expertise in form of latest internet based smart technologies. The software solutions bring food safety expertise to the end user at a palm reach by supporting multi-platform cloud-based computing system which can bring a real-time access to the happening on the floor to the stakeholders for the effective implementation of the food safety systems and provides the predictive trends analysis for the informed decision making. Pathogenia is the first and the only virus testing laboratory in a food in Canada, with the core focus on making food safer across the food supply chain through risk-based and cost-focused analysis. In the current crisis due to the COVID-19 situation, Pathogenia has developed the capabilities to test for the coronavirus in the environmental samples, which can be used as early indicator of potential contaminated areas. Such a big personality today we have with us, who have a big name in the food industry for a food safety. He did a lot of work, and such a brilliant personality is with us. We are really happy to having you, sir. Before we start with our actual interactive session, I would like to request Head of Department of Instrumentation, Mr. Sarade sir, to introduce himself and about the department. Please,
Good
sir.
evening. Thank you. Good evening, all of you. I am Mr. Vikas Karade, HOD of Instrumentation Engineering at Pvpit BUDHGAON. Instrumentation engineering is a multidisciplinary branch of engineering which is established in 1983. Instrumentation engineering deals with the measuring, monitoring, and controlling of the different parameters in the industry. We prepare the students for career in the various sectors like automation, automobile, agriculture, biomedical, energy, embedded system, industrial manufacturing and processing, pharmaceutical, robotics, and many more. We are proud of having the more than the 2,000 instrumentation engineering graduates since 1983 who are placed across the globe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And now I would like to request our principal, sir, Dr. D.V. Ghivde, to introduce about the institute and address this session, please.
Thank you, madam. Gracious welcome to Mr. Prasant, a food safety expert, Honorable Amit Dada, Professor Karade, Coordinator Dr. Nandakishore, faculty members, and dear students. Good evening to one and all. For Prashant, this institute was established in 1983 by a great freedom fighter, Padma Bhushan Sri Vasantara Patil. He was ex-chief minister of Maharashtra for 3 times and then governor of Rajasthan for once. She has worked a lot for Congress government during that period, and therefore the Sangli bears a very good name in India. When you speak of Sangli, they will ask, it is the Dada Sangli. So this is how this Sangli has been, this glory has brought to Sangli by Padma Bhushan Vasantara Dada Patil. And he laid the foundation stone. He established this institute. He also developed the system of private engineering institutions in the Maharashtra, state of Maharashtra. So it was established in 1983, and since then, this instrumentation department exists in the institution. So this is one of the oldest department in the institute, and therefore, as Professor Karade has rightly said, the alumni of this instrumentation department are spread all over the globe, and they are all working at higher positions now. And we have connected to the alumni now, and we are now taking help from all those alumni. Our institute has completed one cycle of NBA, National Board of Accreditation, and now we are in first cycle of NAC. So we have NAC accreditation, and we had 5 courses of NBA accreditation. Out of those 5 courses, now we are having continuation for 1 course in chemical engineering, which is accredited by NBA, and other 4 courses we are now applying for the next cycle of accreditation. But institute is accredited by NAC Bangalore. So these are 2 unique bodies in the India which accredit the courses, and we have got that accreditation. This instrumentation department has organized this webinar series with the help of all you experts from all over India, and we are trying to connect the students with you so that they will understand the demand of situation, what is happening around the globe, and they can decide their career plans. That's the one of the motive behind organizing these webinars. Because our students, they are, you can say very few students come to the engineering as a career, and the rest of the students, they just come to the engineering just to complete the course and get some job somewhere else. So instead of that, we want to change the culture. We want to groom them to think on various issues and develop them themselves to solve the real life problems in the society. And through that, we want to groom them as entrepreneurs or innovators. And that's why we are trying to organize such webinars in which, and we are inviting all experts like you so that our students will get some inputs to think of their career plans, and their the discussions with you or interactions with you will inspire them to do something good. And that is the motive behind this. So as Nandkishore has shared that, I am proud to say that this year we could receive 6 design patents and few are in process. We are also trying to get the utility patents. So we are in that process, and that has resulted in a good culture of innovation and research in our institute. You also mentioned about the publications. Our faculty members are now publishing in a good or renowned journals throughout the world, and the publication activity has already at its pace. So we are trying to build this kind of culture in the institution by involving all faculty members and students. And through such kind of activities, we are giving some direction to the students. As far as hackathons, I2I, and then one more competition like go-kart, T-Fun, in which our students are participating at national level, and they have secured top positions at national level competitions. So I am proud of all my students and faculty members. In spite of rural locality, we have developed good interaction with the industry and society. We are working to take ahead the Government of India schemes through Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, Government of Maharashtra schemes through Unnat Maharashtra Abhiyan, and we are involving our students in these 2 schemes, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan and Unnat Maharashtra Abhiyan, in which the students are visiting the rural places and trying to understand the issues the society is facing. And we are working on those issues and trying to develop some kind of technical solutions so that we can ease their life at the rural places. Our students are really good in academics also, and it has come through university rankings. Every year we have about 15 to 16 university ranks, and our students also participate in all types of cultural activities. So we conduct all types of activities, and we don't leave any stone unturned to develop a student and to give a platform for his own development. But this unprecedented COVID pandemic has disrupted our normal life and affected severely to the education system. And we are not accustomed to such online teaching learning process so far. But now we have to work on it. And now we are working it as an emergency situation, because until we do something through online teaching learning process, our students remain engaged in learning activity. And you know that empty mind is devil's workshop. So if the students are not engaged, if the youth is not engaged, then they get diverted, and then that will be a heavy loss to the nation. So we know very little about what may happen post COVID, but as an expert, you travel around the globe, you know the situations, and therefore you can have some forecast what may happen, what are the needs of the next time, and therefore you can guide our students properly. And therefore we are uh, we have called you, and I welcome you on this platform of Pvpit, because our youths are the assets of our nation, and therefore we should give the maximum possible so that we can rebuild India and taking this corona with ahead. So therefore, these webinars are one such efforts to make the students to face such a challenge and keep ourselves engaged in learning activity with knowledge beyond the curriculum. Because this teaching learning is mainly focused on the curriculum, but students also should get some knowledge beyond the curriculum, which will help them to decide further for their career plans. Ultimately, we expect the knowledge, skills from the students with the right kind of attitude, because attitude building is again a big challenge. And unless and until we build a good attitude amongst the students, it is very difficult for them to survive at global level. So therefore, attitude building is also we take care of, and we conduct a 21 days universal human values program for first year engineering students. And through this 21 days programs, we could see a great change amongst the students' thought process. And that is how we are working on these students. When they take admission, we impart a good human values training to them. And therefore, the students are now giving a good response for a new change. So I welcome you on behalf of Pvpit. This is the unique opportunity we are getting to interact with you and to get your experiences shared with our students. I thank Professor Dr. Nandakishore for taking a lot of pains to organize this webinar series. It is a unique kind of webinar series which has been accepted because I shared this with all my university officials, and they were very, you can say, surprised to know such kind of webinar which is being conducted in Pvpit. So I thank all institution department for taking all kinds of pains to see that this webinar happens here, and it is our efforts to keep ourselves engaged in learning activities along with the students till the normalcy is resumed in our India, because we don't know when it will resume, and it is big threat to the education system, traditional education system. So till that time, I request my students to be at home and safe, and I welcome you once again for this on behalf of management of Pvpit Sangli, and I would like to mention that we'll be very happy if you remain together continuously, and you will definitely like to work under your guidance for taking this such kinds of courses ahead. So I thank you once again for accepting our invitation and being present for this webinar. Thank you, Prashant, and thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for guiding us and sharing your thought with us. Right now, we have one special person, special guest from the DBATU, Mr. Dev Sarkar sir, and actually I welcome you behalf of PVPIT sir. I'm requesting you to please share your views, or please mention something related to the DBATU and all. Please, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. Welcome to this webinar series. Actually, I'm requesting you to please share your views. Would like to listen from you related to the universities and this total pandemic related things.
Okay. I'm very delighted to join the webinar organized by Pvpit, principal of the institution, faculty members, and participants. During this pandemic situation, it is very necessary to keep educating our learners and also to be engaged in doing a lot of activities which perhaps we are missing because of the crucial situation which arises. The entire education system perhaps goes through a drastic changes. And because of this, I think the disruption always provides the opportunities. That is the natural rule. And with this rule, I think the number of young teachers, those who are exhibiting their talent by using the platform, online platform, or digitization platform, or e-platform, for disseminating their intelligence through various means. Department of Instrumentation has really organized this kind of program, which is really commendable by the PVPIT and the respective faculty members of the department. The very important aspect of learning these different kinds of technologies is the need of time. The education, which all the times works with the quality or enrichment in terms of resources, and when the technology is reaching or technology is helping the dissemination in a very fast way, the education now it will be taken, not particularly the distance or demography or location or time is not a constraint hence onward. And so anytime, anywhere, you can access to this particular kind of information via or through the digital gadgets. The very important aspect of learning comes through the engagement. And engagement is only possible if the content is delivered with the quality aspects. And so the young teacher has to prepare well, hence onward, to deliver their contents having the quality only. And otherwise, the engagement of the teacher students for continuing lectures is very difficult, which we have seen through various reviews from the digital universities worldwide. The another important point is also likely to be taken in a right way during this particular situation. The teaching is shifted to learning, and learning is shifted to the knowledge-based learning. And so the things which we perhaps talks about the outcome-based education, about the various quality educations, so that particular themes are now to be executed by an individual faculty member. So actions are more important than the words. And so nobody will like to connect with you with the yellow page learnings. And so the kind of situation which perhaps provokes the all young minds to come together and deliver the best. The another important aspect is also to be learned through this particular online learning.
Hello. Hello.
Our teacher will be uniquely recognized at a global level. And so you are not a teacher of your institution, you will be teacher of a university, you will be teacher of the state, you will be teacher, recognized teacher of the nation, or in the global sense also. So the value to IPR and very important concept is going to come into the education system. That means the teacher, those who are demonstrating their knowledge bases, will receive the recognition in terms of IPRs or copyrights, and which will be paid by the learners. And so there is no way to keep away the digital learnings from the regular classroom structures. The another important point is also reaching in the classrooms. That means the blended learnings or flipped learnings will become more famous in the days to come, because 40% learning must be continued with the classrooms or physical connectivity, and 60% learning should be through a blended class. Means the boys will learn at their own, because self-learning concept is more important. And the last point which I would like to include here, that hence onward the definition of the learner is also going to change. Before this, we used to talk about the student, those are registered with the classrooms, like the student is like this. Hence onward, you will receive the students from the workplaces, those who are working in the industries, those are working in the factories, those are working in the various consulting units, or even the universities will be learners of your classrooms. And so we should not hesitate, or we should not have any kind of fear in our mind that what will be the strength of the student in my classrooms. No, if you are capable of catching, or if you are enabled to bring in more and more number of students in the classrooms, and this is only possible that your engagement with the quality and learner will be synchronously works. That is the situation is likely to come in almost all areas. But technology will be an integral part of education system. But along with this, we have to also follow the digitization of education, which must be taught in the regular process of universities, because teachers must be well prepared. Teachers must be well trained on this kind of the preparations. It is not a simple way that I can record my classrooms and will push through this particular website and the students will learn. No, if there are not incremental values, if there is no innovation, if there is no research component in teaching and learning, nobody will connect for a longer hours. My dear friends, my dear participants, and now entire thing is moving towards the quality, quality and quality. And to have this only, it is required to activate, or it is required to participate. Now the days are gone to teach the training like how to swim, and I'm using by using some practices and by using a chalk and board. If I'm telling some students, the students will not never listen to me, because these days the virtual realities, augmented realities, artificial intelligence, machine learnings, and many more gadgets are at the rescue of the faculty members to demonstrate or to present his presentation with value-added systems. And so research doesn't mean that the publication. Research means that you are doing something new before, or this is the new thing which we never never been seen by any other. So that is that is called as research. The innovation doesn't mean that you are doing something and launching a satellite in the space. The innovation means the things which you are doing, the things which you have researched are presented in a very acceptable way by the teacher, by using the original, by using their languages, by using their local languages. So that is more important. And so when the teaching is not concerned or not well connected with the research component, innovation component, and the most important component is what it is called as the critical component in this particular teaching learning processes. That means it must be a value added systems. The employment is going to change. The employers are also going to changes. And so because of the technological spaces, the life of your content or syllabus or curriculum will not be more than 5 years hence onward, because the technology is moving with a so fast speed. And so the life learning concept will be becoming a more famous in the days to come. And that is the reason why the individual learner should go for new learnings at all the times. The technological developments, technological evolutions are never seen before entered into the education system. We learn, or we have observed education is a very different entity. But hence onward, education, if doesn't work with the industry, education doesn't work in if it works in isolation, either industry works in isolation, nobody will receive a benefit. And the new jobs openings, the new employability positions are improved, particularly in the domain what exactly we are talking about in the life sciences, instrumentation, biomedical instrumentation, life sciences, the service sectors, transportation sectors. Definitely, all these are the new openings which perhaps talks about the new employment. And once new employment is reaching, it is possible to connect our students only and only if you learn them, if you teach them the skills of 21st century. Skills doesn't mean only a communication skills. Skills means how to practice the learning, how to practice the qualities, reflecting into the intellectual learnings, reflecting into the logical thinkings, creativity. And if this is not available, if it is not nurtured in rightly in the education system, I think it is very difficult to go ahead and to become a global student or global teacher. The entire thing is moving around the quality. And so the different education systems which are talking about the innovation, incubation, and entrepreneurship development and whatnot. If you are looking at the environmental sciences, see, because of this pandemic situation, everybody has becoming close to the nature. We are observing how beautiful skies are looking, how the control, the particularly the pollution control levels are goes down drastically. The water bodies are flowing with very clear and clean water and whatnot. So the entire diversities, entire demography, entire biodiversity, that what we are looking, that is made for the human beings benefits only. And so this pandemic situation has teaches a lot of things, how to come closer to the environment. And my dear friends, if you are observing the climate change, which is changing very slowly, but it will also cut the employment, because the world observation, particularly on this environment, it is mentioning that 2% jobs or the 2% energy of a human being is going to reduce because of creating the hotspots in the environment. So that 2% of the world means it is very large number, means around 10 to 15% of the GDP of a world, which will be pushed into this particular sustainability of environment. And so the possibility of having number of jobs in the environmental sciences, and environmental sciences means the sensors. Sensors means again instrumentation, and instrumentation means again you are connecting these particular hubs to data sciences. So everything is connecting, or everything is providing you the opportunities to the youngsters. Only the way that how we can grab the opportunities, and we will prepare our youngsters to grab that particular skills. And so the skills which are required to be nurtured in the education system. The entire university education system, particularly in India, is only talking about the hardcore teachings only. The component of the soft skills or the social connect skills are missing completely. And that is the reason only we are concentrating particularly in the scenario as far as the employment is concerned. We are talking about the addition of a particular soft skill in the final year. It is very difficult to have or nurture the skills, particularly the soft skills or the social skills in the final year. And so it must be an integral part of your learning system since beginning from your junior college or even from the first year of engineering institution. And a lot of changes are likely to be added into the engineering education. And that is called as education with hard core subjects plus social connect plus these soft skills. Without that, it is very difficult to go ahead to provide the employability, because the entire system will become a resilience. Resilience means flexible. Flexible means acceptable. And perhaps we are knowing that hookah rules, the vulnerables or volatility of job employment, the uncertainty in the education sectors or in all industrial sectors, and acceptability, how we can increase that. And this is only possible if the takers and givers knows each other. Industry and education works together, and they should provide the best talented inputs to the youngsters. Otherwise, the jobs will be scratched, or the
Hello, madam. Start.
Hello.
Yeah, start.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much,
what we have
Professor
achieved is that
Custer.
most important. So with this, I
Sir,
think conclude. With this, I will conclude. And thanks for inviting me in the last minute and allowing me to talk. Thank you, Professor Gevre sir, and principal and other faculty members. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
thank you so much, sir, for sharing your views with us. And sorry, sorry so much that we are make you wait, Prasant sir. Basically, before starting the actual session, let me tell, like we start, let me explain how the students and the participant can talk with us during the webinar. If you have any questions during presentations, just write to the chat. We will have a question answer session at the end of this session, and we will answer of your questions at the end of this session. Now we can begin with our today's speaker. And today sir will interact with us related to the software based decision support system for food safety and food processing industry. We are very grateful, sir, to having you with us, and once again I want to welcome you for this session. And sir, please, I'm requesting you to share your knowledge, experiences, and views with us. Please, sir.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank each one of you for having me here. And it's a great honor, I would call a privilege for me to interact, because I feel it's essential. And as we discussed, I am going to talk on a subject, I think, which is close to everyone's heart. That's food. We all love to eat food, right? But the question here, have we ever thought, where is that food coming from? So when you buy a car, we expect to be safe while driving. That means we don't want to fall, we don't want to get into an accident, which is going to create health issues for us. So that is the expectations from buying a car. So what is the expectation from eating our lunch or dinner? We want to get sick. But when you buy a car, we make sure the car looks good, it has got all the safety features, it has got good ratings. But when we buy our food, have we ever thought about it? Where the food has come from? Is it going to make us sick or not? So with that thought, let me give you a very real life example about the current pandemic. With the current pandemic, what they say, wash your hand. In the food industry, we practice that every single day. So that means what we are talking today in the current pandemic is nothing new. It's already being practiced somewhere else. We just did not put a thought about it. So with that note, what is food safety? The very infamous example, I guess, if I can recall, in India, the Maggi noodles. When we had a recall in the Maggi noodles, everybody were asking, what's the problem with the Maggi noodles? So there are heavy metals which could lead to potential long-term health effects. And this is why Maggi noodles was banned or taken off the shelf. But that is only one of the examples. We don't hear a lot about food safety in India. It's because, I guess, our lack of awareness. I was in a conference in the month of March in Delhi. So somebody asked me, how come you only talk about food safety issues in North America? How come we don't hear that here? So I asked the gentleman, do you know what can cause a food safety risk? Do you know what can make you sick? He said, no. I said, that's the problem. We don't want to get too much involved into what can create or what can cause a food problem. And it's because there are various reasons. So in India, I think we have seen that some part of the society who are extremely well, and some part of the society which we don't have anything. And then if I go on and talk to food safety to somebody who does not have food to eat, I'm talking to that person something not relevant. So that's the kind of situation we have in India, and this is where the food safety is getting to somewhere. I was doing a trade show in the month of March in New Delhi. I was the first, one of the biggest Indian food trade show called AHAR, and there were more than 1,000 participants, and I was the only guy talking about food safety in that booth. And that's the kind of awareness we don't have in India. Will it be like this tomorrow? No, because people who are elite, people who know what is food safety, people who travel around the world, they would not compromise on food safety. At the same time, when I go and I was in Delhi in March, I was walking on the streets. I see people are wearing a hairnet in the restaurants. People are putting hand gloves. right? So that means if the awareness is getting there, it's just a matter of time. It's not when, it's just a matter of time when we are going to get into that kind of culture. So with being said that, technology, the next subject is technology. So we all have a smartphone these days. I guess if you don't have a smartphone, people, you are not what you call normal these days. But have you ever thought we can live without our smartphone for a day? If you don't have power, you will not be able to go online. But can we live without our lunch or dinner for a day? So that means you have to understand that food has become so essential for us to survive. And during this pandemic, I can tell you all the food companies are doing extremely well. Why? Because when people stay at home, they tend to eat a lot. They can stay without buying an iPad, but they cannot stay without buying their grocery. So this is during the pandemic time, the industry has seen a big spike in the food production and awareness. So talking about technology, today we can find out what's happening around the world. We go on a Twitter, go on Facebook, go on our Instagram. Somebody's posting anywhere in any part of the world about anything. So think about this. When we had a situation 10 years back, if there is some problem in India, it takes days for me to come to know in Canada. But today, if that happens, I'll find out in the next 1 minute. So that's the good thing about our technology. But have you ever thought about how that can be bad for the food industry? Let's say a food company is having a problem. Today, you can go on Twitter and say, you know what, the Indian Railways served me what you call spoiled food. You can tag the railway minister. But think about the guy, think about the company who made that food. When this goes public, the amount of pressure we are putting on the food manufacturer to do things right is going up day by day. So now if you look at the global situation about the food industry, 90% of the food industries in the global scale are owned by family business or small to medium scale. So being said that, when you have family business, a small to medium scale, and you own the 90% of the market, the margin does not allow you to invest a lot on technology. So you still go and use traditional paper-based technology. So when you have a traditional paper-based technology, you are believing what you hear from your employees, because you cannot see what's happening on the floor. So with that note, if you have a recall in a car, let's say some car company is going through a recall, they will call you in the next minute because they have your number as a car owner in the database, and they'll call you. But when the recall happens in the food industry, it takes days, it takes months to find out whom did I buy from. So this is the challenge. It's a global challenge. I was fortunate to travel around the world. This is the global challenge I saw around the world. It's not that we don't want to do the right thing. We want to do the right thing, provided it's affordable, it's cost effective. I cannot invest in a technology where I will go bankrupt. So because of there's a gap between what a small to medium scale industry wants, needs, versus what is available in the market. So because of the gap I see, and this is where I decided, you know what, let me contribute my part to this problem. And this is where I started 2 companies. mostly food safety tech companies called Smart Food Safe and Pathogenia. And what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to use the technology. I'm trying to use the technological advancements in the technological world. I'm trying to use the power of software. So to bring the functional food safety knowledge, which is simple and easy to read, through a smartphone or a tablet or a computer to the small to medium scale industry. So that is the overall what you call I'm trying to achieve here. I would like to go a little bit about the background and how did I get to this situation. I was born in India, and my parents were high school teacher. We were 5 kids, and we are joint family like any other Indian middle class family. And when I was growing as a child, even I did not study in English medium. I was not able to speak English until I got into this part of the world. And but I always had an ambition. You know what? I want to do better in my life. I want to learn what I don't have today. I want to achieve something what my parents could not achieve. So with that thought process, that drive drove me from India, from a small town in Odisha to Montreal in Canada, and been in the Montreal for almost 10 years. I'm fortunate to travel almost more than 30 countries for work, and I have seen the global situation in terms of food supply chain in and out. And that's my personal background, and I do have a master in food safety from McGill University, and I also call myself I was very fortunate to work with various universities, starting from Harvard, University of Laval, Cornell, McGill, Guelph University, on various food safety initiatives in trying to solve the problem in the global food safety supply chain. So with that note, let's talk about Industry 4.0. What is Industry 4.0? Let's think about. I think people may think it's expensive, or it costs to implement Industry 4.0. Let's think about our smartphone today. If I want a GPS sensor, I don't need to buy a GPS sensor. My smartphone can be used as a GPS sensor. If I want an image processing software, something I can process my image, I don't need an imaging processing device. I can use my smartphone as an image processing device. If I want a QR code reader or a scanner, my smartphone camera can do this. So basically what I'm trying to say that Industry 4.0 is all about integrating technology to solve problems. And you engineers can do that because you come from the foundation where you are being taught how to solve problem. Pick up a problem and use your engineering background, engineering knowledge, how to solve it. I'll give you a very small example. I'm working on a smart farm app. Basically, I'm trying to integrate all the farmers into a smartphone device so that when they grow commodity, irrigation, pesticides, everything can be logged in a blockchain-enabled platform. My ultimate objective is that when you go and buy a can of mango juice in the supermarket, you'll have a QR code which talks about the entire supply chain history, where the mango was grown, what chemical they used, what pesticide they applied, where it was harvested, the entire history of that. And I'll give you a small example, image processing. Let's say the farmer does not know what kind of pest is affecting his crop. All he has to do, take the smartphone, take an image of the what you call that disease, we'll have a disease library where thousands of different diseases can be uploaded. The image of that disease can be go and find a match in the library and see, okay, which disease is closely look like. And then tell you, okay, you know what? This is the problem, this is the pest, and then you have to use these pesticides. Think about the power of that. And it's not something new to the industry. I can tell you, when you have the car insurance, today's way, when you have in North America, if you have a car accident, they ask you, you know what, can you send me pictures of various parts of the accident? So they do that. So then what happened in the background, they simulate, okay, what could be the possible accident and what could take possible repair. And then they give an estimate, is it worth to repair or to replace without human interruption? If that can be done to the car industry, why not for the food industry? So the point I'm trying to make here, these technologies are already being used in aerospace, in car manufacturing, in other high profitable industries. But when it comes to food, it's neglected. And that's the difference I would like to challenge each one of our students here. Think about a problem statement in the food supply chain and then come up with a solution, how to solve that problem in the food supply chain. We may not buy a car, but we'll buy food every single day. And the basic expectations. I have a 5-year-old daughter. So when I go and buy food from the restaurant or supermarket, I always think about it. Do I feel comfortable giving to my own child? If I don't, that means how can somebody else give to their own family? So think about that. So that means we have a problem statement here. The entire food supply chain has to be safer. And that's what my objective is about, how to educate, how to bring technology, how to adopt technology, and in bringing all this platform together to make food safer. The good thing about it, what makes you sick in India, the same problem makes somebody sick in Australia or North America or Russia. So that means when it comes to food safety problem, they don't vary from country to country or person to person. It's the same challenge around the globe. So that means we have an easy solution. Whatever works in India can work in Australia, can work in North America, can work in anywhere in the world. So that is the advantage of this Industry 4.0 adoption. So that's what I'm trying to do. The small to medium scale industry. You would be surprised that in today's world, in North America, I have seen companies, when you are talking about, let's say, receiving of your raw materials, you are receiving a raw material, they have a piece of pen and a paper, they go and write the raw materials on that day. If everything looks good or not, then they receive the load. If I am the business owner and I have got 20 different suppliers, and I want to do a trend analysis, who's my best supplier? How do my raw material are being, graded against quality and food safety? So what do? I have got 100 pages of receiving records, let's say. So I have to go and look at each and every page to see, okay, what is going on? Did I receive on that day or not? Again, then I try to use my memory. Why not we digitalize that? Because the paper don't talk to each other. If you're relying on a paper-based record keeping, they don't talk to each other. So how do I do a trend analysis? How do I do a predictive analysis? What happened last year and how do I use that data to improve upon the next year? So those predictive analysis are not possible using a paper-based record keeping. Unfortunately, that's what's happening in the food industry. They don't have the budget because the margin is very low and owned by small to medium scale. And the most important, they are seasonal. So mango grows in a season. So that means if you want to hire somebody to take care of your mango growing or processing, they have a job for 4 to 6 months. After 6 months, what do? You have to let them go and hire new people next year. So when you hire new people, the training, the knowledge, the expertise is going in the drain. That's another biggest challenge with the commodity. And this is where a technology can help you. Let me give you another small example. If you are producing, let's say, meat, and the meat is temperature sensitive. So you do not want your meat to be exposed to room temperature because it's going to get spoiled because of microbiology. So you want to be cold so that it's not getting spoiled. And you expect somebody to go and check the temperature on an hourly basis. If you think about, if somebody is checking the temperature for the entire, for every 1 hour, think about the number of hours he's putting to check the temperature throughout the year. Do a math and compare that versus a digital temperature recorder, which is connected through IoT to your server, and it has got alert system. The moment the temperature goes out of the control, it notifies through SMS or email. And if you look at that's a real time versus you are relying on somebody else. So that is what they call the power of technology. And we could do that. We could we could bring this food industry, which we all love to eat, unless someone says, I don't like to eat here. So this food industry is going through tremendous challenges. The requirements are changing every single day. Think about this coronavirus. Who has thought coronavirus can be such a big problem? Who would have thought this? And let me tell you, I knew this because that's why I was the first virus lab in Canada, because I saw virus is becoming a big issue in Canada or in the global scenario. Why virus is not being, why we don't talk about viruses? Do you know why? We all had stomach upset. Sometimes, we have gastro issues and we get into loose motion and other things. Do you know what caused that? The norovirus. We ate something which has got viruses called norovirus, and that create that our called gastro issues. We had this, I knew this, and I see this coming, and this is why I decided to start the virus testing laboratory, because I know virus is going to become a big problem in the food industry. And then guess what? We got a new virus called coronavirus. So there, if you look at this kind of new risk, they're evolving with the time. The new risks are coming to the industry day in, day out. Why? Maybe we did not explore that. Or maybe we have a better technology today which can detect a new contaminant. So because of all these things, and then guess what, the power of social media, the food industry is under constant pressure to survive. And we all have a challenge today, how to revive the food industry, how to help that farmers who are struggling to grow a commodity for us. Unless we think as owner here, unless we work together in this problem statement, we may not have food to eat tomorrow. That is the consequences we may get into. So I think with that note, I'm going to open for questions. I would prefer to have students asking us questions in the broader concept of the food safety and the technology and industry 4.0. And I will go in very much detail based on the question I get from.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so thank you, Prashant. Actually, it's Nand Kishore again. And may I actually ask Sneha ma'am to probably get to the moderators of the session, and probably they can screen the chat box which is going on the YouTube, and from there maybe if there are any questions that the students have raised, so that we can actually start accumulating. Apart from that, if from our faculty team, if anyone has any questions, maybe we can start with that. We can start with actually raising those questions, and probably he could answer to our faculty members. At the same time, our students can also listen to those. So we'll actually probably let's do it like that. If anyone else has any other suggestion, I mean, it's up to you. So is it okay? Maybe we can do it like that. So we'll have questions from faculties as well as questions from students. And the questions from students will be coming from the chat box on the YouTube link. Sorry, well, are you hearing me? I mean, I don't know. I don't see any expression.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. So meanwhile, maybe Magdum sir and Sudha sir are probably getting to the questions from the chat box. So maybe from the faculty side, if you have any questions, maybe you can start asking. Probably there was Bhagat sir who actually had a question. Bhagat sir? Bhagat sir is not there now.
Is it there? Check.
No, he's not there.
Let me answer that question. I think
yes,
what
Bhagat
he was
sir
asking.
actually.
Yeah, so what he was asking, basically talking about a shelf life. Right, when you see a shelf life of 3 months in the wheat flour, is it okay to use after 3 months? So the answer to this, we have to understand there are two things. One is called shelf life, another called best before. So when someone says best before, that does not mean at the end of the best before date, the product is unsafe to eat. What it means that the quality may deteriorate slowly. So that means unless and otherwise the product has gone through some drastic temperature abuse or contamination, it should be still good to use. When it comes to shelf life is basically, you are saying that that's mostly used for drugs, right? What do you call, after 6 months, the product is not good to use. So whether we can use wheat flour after 3 months of shelf life, I would say yes, we can use it. But can you use in all the situations?
Yeah.
No, we have to evaluate situations.
Internet गेलो वाटतं.
Huh?
No, so sorry, I'm sorry. Actually, yeah, I actually had an issue with my internet. I think for a minute. I'm gonna mute myself.
Yeah. Prashant sir.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So in India again, we are facing one more issue of milk export. See, the milk has a very less shelf life, and therefore we cannot export it. So can you think of increasing shelf life of milk by using technologies which are which can be developed or which are available right now? Because we are, I think, second largest milk producer in world, but we are still not able to export the milk to other countries, and therefore most of the milk is wasted or converted in some byproducts, and with a huge loss in it. If you look at the pandemic situation, most of the dairies, for example, in Kolhapur, we are residing in Kolhapur area. So we have a very good dairy called Gokul Doodh Dairy. So that is collecting about 11 lakh liters of milk per day. But they are not able to sell that much milk because of this pandemic situation. And therefore, they are forcefully converting it to other byproducts, and which is not profitable. Therefore, they are incurring heavy loss. And once they incur heavy loss, they ask government for help again.
Okay. So There are a couple of things to consider here. As you know that every country has its own regulation in importing milk or dairy products.
Yeah.
Like in North America, you cannot buy more than certain quantities of milk products or milk from outside the country because they want to protect their own farmers in that country.
Okay.
So that comes to number one. Number two problem, we have transportation. As you know, milk contains almost 83 to 85% water. Why should we transport the water? Because the transportation costs a lot of money. However, if you can take the water out of the milk and create what you call which is called health supplement. Health supplement industry is really big. It's highly controlled, highly regulated. The way India is exporting a lot of drugs to the world, India can export health supplements, and milk can be used as an excellent source of health supplement. So we need to come up with ideas, how can we develop health supplements which are highly what you call nutritious and convert our surplus milk. Otherwise, we will have this challenge of, because of shorter shelf life, we cannot do much of what you call, there's nothing much to play in the shorter shelf life. We have to extend the shelf life by drying the milk. So there's technology called freeze drying, basically, or putting into powder. There are two types of technology. We concentrate, we dry it, and then we can store or use as health supplement and export to the world.
The major issue the India is facing.
Yeah, I completely, even I will tell you in my previous role, I see that we have a lot of fresh produce, like mango, like what you call the papaya, like pineapples, coconut. We could export those to the world, but problem is that they're fresh. We need to establish IQF. Basically, we need to make sure they are frozen to minus 20 degrees Celsius so that they can be kept in their shelf life can be extended for more than 2 years. But in India, I was exploring, there are hardly very few frozen fruit processing plants because everybody, they do fresh or into what you call mango pulp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Prashant. So may I actually ask any other faculty member who actually probably has any questions, and if they want to raise the questions?
Sir, myself Sanjay Bhagat again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir, nowadays we are using foam technology to increase the shelf life. Have you ever, what we can do in this, forming a foam and then drying so that we can get a proper value to the fruits and the vegetable?
So what is this technology called?
Foam technology, forming a foam so that the drying time decreases.
Okay. I'm not very familiar about the foam technology.
Yeah.
But ultimately it does the same thing. What we're trying to do, moisture in the product creates spoilage.
Yes.
Higher the moisture, higher the chances of spoilage.
Yes.
If you can find a way to take the moisture out of that fruit or that food, that's the basic concept of any shelf life extension technology.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So does any other faculty actually, like, especially from instrumentation engineering department? So if you don't have, then maybe can I actually ask our moderators to get the questions from the students and present it in front of our speaker of today? So Makdum sir and Sudhar sir, can you please? Hello? Are you there?
Hello?
Yes?
Yes, sir. Hello?
Yes. So can you proceed further? Sudhar sir?
Hello.
Yeah, Magdum sir. So can you actually present the questions?
Yes, one question is from Ganesh Mole. He is asking about the general skills required for Industry 4.0 as soon as possible because they are passing now, pass out students.
Okay, so Industry 4.0 requires two types of skill. Number one is your logical skill. Are you logical enough? Because that logical skill you have to judge by yourself. You are not going to learn that from the books. Most of the times, I can tell you my decisions I make based on the logic. If something is not logical to me, I question, I challenge myself. And that's something you have to question yourself. Does it make sense what I'm trying to do or what I'm doing or what I'm saying? And number two is technical skills. So when you call technical skills, if you talk about software technology, if you look at all these hardwares, Industry 4.0, there's a hardware component and there's a software component. For the hardware component, you have to basically build that hardware. You have to know how to build a hardware, those sensors or those what you call integrated circuits, those IC chips, how to combine and build those hardware. The second thing, how to develop a software, how to run a code so that the hardware can function the way you want to. So if you have these three skills, then you can get into Industry 4.0.
Thank you, Prashant. Are there any more questions from the student side? Sitar sir, Magdum sir? Hello?
No, sir, there is no question.
So most of the questions are actually related to the same question which was already asked. That's what I'm screening through the actually the YouTube chat box, and I'm seeing actually all questions are related to the same question. Like, what are the skills essential for Industry 4, or probably what can you explain what is exactly Industry 4 and something like that. So probably like, can I ask you one question, Prashant?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so recently, like, especially like, where I am from, so there are most prominently like, two cash crops that are grown. So number one is grape and number two is actually sugarcane. And during this COVID pandemic situation, the most actually like, affected crop was the grapes, because sugarcane usually like, takes up to 18 months to grow, and then it can be harvested and then processed for sugar making or for some other purpose. So it was not that affected by the grape, because during the COVID situation, there was actually a lot of issues with like, social distancing, and like if the farmers can go in the farms and if they can actually do a lot of like, farming activity for actually getting the grapes ready. Probably they wanted to harvest it. Probably they wanted to quality related, like they wanted to standardize them. Then they wanted to probably pack it and then export and whatever. So all those processes were kind of affected because of this pandemic situation. And because of that, actually many farmers, like, especially those are from those who are actually grape producing ones, they actually were probably like, there was actually a lot of talk going on, like, especially in our area. So how will actually, how can they be like, helped in this situation? So what they do basically, they actually like, they produce the grapes, and they have like, two options. Number one, they actually ship it to the customers. Probably they also like, export it to Middle Eastern countries, or they can do the drying, so they make the, the dried grapes like raisins and stuff, and then they can actually preserve in the cold storages, and then like, that is definitely increasing the shelf life, as you mentioned, like, it is actually removing the moisture content. And so those, apart from those two things, there was no other solution. So what I was thinking, the same thing, probably if we can have a capability to harvest and freeze it right away, or if we can actually can it, because when I was in Canada, I was seeing many grapes which were actually as a canned product, so we would actually had it as a dessert, after the food. So open the can, take out the grapes, and then eat it, right? So between these two technologies, freezing technology or probably canning technology, so which would be probably an appropriate option for country like India, and could it be possible actually to have something like that at a large scale? There is actually regions like Nashik, there is a region like Sangli, like Tasgaon area. There are actually many more regions in Maharashtra state itself who are actually major grape producers. So this was actually a hot topic during the COVID situation, and I wanted to bring this further.
Okay. So Nandkishore, to give you some background about the grape processing, right? Why Indian grapes are not popular in the export market? Let's ask the basic question. And the answer is that the Indian grapes food safety profile, the perception, not the actual profile, because India still has to overcome that perception that we are equally good as North America. Okay, so that perception, how can you do that? Let's use technology, because what is biggest challenge with Indian grapes? The pesticides. Because of the uncontrolled use of pesticides in India, making the traces of pesticides found in the grapes, and which is why the other countries are not convenient to use that. And how can we change that perception? If you can have blockchain enabled growing farming practices, we can bring that confident in a global market. So we have to work on that first. Without that, we will have challenges selling our Indian grapes. Number two, talking about canning versus freezing. So it depends upon which application and what the end point, what end customer needs. From my experience, we know that the power situation in India is very, very challenging. And if you're talking about IQF, and where your warehouse needs to have 24/7 power, whereas canning, if you do the canning, you don't have to think about storage, because you can store the can in the room temperature. So depending upon what is available to you and what a customer needs, so both are equally good. The good thing about freezing, that when we take the fruit out of the tree, grapes tree, and put in the freezer, we are preserving the quality as it is. After 2 years, we'll take the same grape out of the freezer. It will be tasting the same as it would have tasted the day one. So that's the good thing about freezing technology. But it requires a lot of energy to preserve the frozen product. Whereas canning, we are changing the properties. We are not preserving the original properties of the canning. But if you're looking for a juice application, canning is good. But if you're looking for a dessert application or fresh application, then freezing will be good enough.
Okay, thank you, Prashant. So does anyone else have any questions? Any students? Maybe Dev Sarkar sir from D-Batu sir, do you have any questions which you would like to be addressed? Maybe something at the research platform, or maybe at the innovation platform, maybe at the extension platform. So maybe we can discuss on that.
I would like to, Nandkishore, I would like to bring this up to you guys and to the students. Maybe they don't have to answer me today. So I am working on all these IoT platforms. I'm working on creating softwares for the food processing industry. If your students are up to for those challenges, we can work together on a project, and I can give the students the practical exposure, what an IoT device looks like, how to integrate an IoT device through software to another IoT device. Because that's what Industry 4.0 is about. There are multiple IoT devices like the sensors, the PLC controllers, the data loggers, the temperature controllers. These are multiple devices. When they come and talk to each other, so they make Industry 4.0. And how do you integrate multiple devices, multiple hardwares? And again, you have to also understand what's the end point. What you're trying to achieve through this integration. Let's not integrate for the sake of integration. Let's integrate because we have a real need. So I was talking to the British Columbia Cherry Council, and I have a real life problem. So British Columbia, Canada, they export a lot of cherries to the export market. And the Canadian Food Inspection Agency requires them to have proper pest control traps and monitoring of those pest control traps, because pest is becoming the biggest issue when you are exporting to Japan or other market. You don't like that you open your bag of your grapes or cherry, you have a big insect inside it. So what this Canadian Food Inspection Agency requires every growers to complete the pest inspection record. But still, it's a paper-based. Somebody can fill out the form from the home and bring it to the Canadian Inspection Agency saying that, yes, everything looks good from my end. And that's the problem we are trying to solve. What we're trying to do, we are trying to create a unique RFID in each pest control trap. So that means you got to be closer to the trap to scan that RFID. And the second statement we're trying to do, we are capturing a geolocation. So basically, this is your farm. In the farm, we are previously defining where are the traps, the pest control traps, and we're giving a 4-meter radius in that trap. So if you are not within the 4-meter radius, you will not be able to say, I checked that trap. So in this way, you are creating a real life. Then we are also telling the growers, when you scan it, yes, you scanned it. I know that I have a record in my record saying that you have scanned it. What's the proof? Take a picture. You open the trap, look at how many pests inside the trap, and take a picture of the trap. So in this way, I am in the radius. I have an evidence by picture. I have an evidence of the geolocation. So in this way, we can avoid the manipulation of data. And that information, think about this, when you present that information to the customer, look at my records in the real time, that brings confidence. And that's what Nando, we need to think about. If you think about Indian farmers, Indian growers, thankfully, every farmer has a smartphone these days. They know how to use a smartphone. Can we leverage that advantage and bring these platforms to our Indian growers or Indian farmers so that we can bring transparency? And if you guys are up for that kind of challenges, let's talk about this. Another small thing, let's say pesticides. When you apply pesticide, let's say you don't know if it's going to rain tomorrow or not. You don't have that weather forecast in your brain, on your top of your mind. You look at the cloud, you look at the sky, but that talks about that particular moment. It does not talk about, is it going to rain tomorrow? But with weather stations, it's possible. You can integrate with any weather app that gives you next 14 days forecast. So that means if you know it's going to rain tomorrow, don't apply pesticide today. So that can be also easily doable. But those are the real life challenges I'm trying to solve, and I'll be very happy that if your students want to participate in this kind of challenges and helping me solve this problem.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Prashant. That was actually a wonderful thing that you shared, between us, because here definitely, those things don't even actually happen. People are not even aware about what you have been actually sharing with us, something about the Canadian Inspection Agency and they're actually the regulations. And there is definitely a lot of actually things that we can do from our end. We can do kind of prototyping of those ideas. Maybe we can test something like those things at our place, and there can be a lot of things that can be done. I think we are actually already it's been more than 2 hours, approximately 2 hours, I would say. So I don't know if we should continue more or if we should stop, or I don't know exactly. So probably I would actually give the call to our principal, sir, and I would actually stop my conversation here.
Yeah, we can stop here because already we have 1.5 hours and more we're discussing the things. But it was a very right points raised by Prashant. Really, we'll look forward. We'll discuss our students, and it will be very good if our students get such kind of opportunity and they could work under you for developing some technologies. It will be very good. And I think it is as we are focused on developing agricultural based technologies at our institute, this will be a part of it, and it will really fit into our motto and mission and vision of our institute. So it will be very nice of you if you could share some things and we can start work on those lines. We'll have our students groomed in that way, which will definitely help you in developing further technologies, and it will also in return help our institute to develop a very different kind of culture, working on real life problems and coming out with solutions. Really a good option you can have, and we can work together definitely.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, everyone, for all this conversation. And really, thank you so much, Prasant sir, for sharing your experiences, views, and all this knowledgeable talk. And we are really grateful to having you here for this total session. Once again, I want to say thank you behalf of the whole PVPIT and also from the instrumentation department. Thank you, really. Thank you so much.
Pleasure
Also,
is
I
mine.
want to announce here one thing that we will provide a feedback form link after the session, because for the as attendance point of view also, and the feedback form to get the how was the session and all. Also, we will provide a quiz link which will according to that quiz link, as per the marking scheme, you will get the certification. There will be the 2 feedback forms at the start of the session series and the end session series. That is the 2 feedback forms are there. Okay. And thank you everyone for participating in today's webinar. We hope to see you again. Actually, we have a great multidisciplinary speakers in this series. So I would like, I'm requesting, or I'm saying that don't miss this opportunity to listen such a great personalities. And thank you everyone for your gracious presence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is mine. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so I'm just coming back again, and I'm mentioning that Prashant sir has already mentioned it. So if anyone, any student, any faculty has any questions, they can always connect it to him, and he will be always ready to be with you to actually help us and to work between both of us from both ends. So that is very important. And again, I would also like to express my personal thanks to Prashant. Prashant is my very good friend, and he's been a very very interesting person for me, since I know him for so many years. And I really like the topic that he actually discussed today, because here there is totally zero awareness related to the farm safety, the food safety, the food security, and the people don't know the origin of anything. And that is definitely very, very, very important from my point of view also. And I see a lot of opportunities that can be done between PVPIT and your companies.
Thank you, Nandu.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.